When Jim Carrey walked into Titan Wheels factory at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night in February 2024, holding a mop, nobody recognized him. It was February 13, 2024, Titan Wheels manufacturing plant, Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. The night shift, the same factory where his family had cleaned toilets for survival in 1978. The smell hit him first. Industrial cleaner mixed with rubber and oil. 46 years. That smell hadn't changed. He was wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, jeans with paint stains, work boots, baseball cap pulled low, 6 feet 2 inches tall but hunched slightly like he was trying to disappear. The rubber face, the one that made millions laugh, completely still. Eyes focused on the floor he used to clean. 3 young workers stood by the loading dock, smoking, scrolling phones. They didn't look up, but here's what nobody in that factory knew. Jim hadn't come alone. And what he was about to do, what he'd been planning for 6 months, would change everything for 17 families. Stay with us through this entire video, because what Jim Carrey did at midnight in that factory, who he found still working there after 30 years, and what the security cameras captured will hit you somewhere deep. The factory floor stretched 40,000 square feet. Concrete. Fluorescent lights humming overhead. Machines silent for the night. In 4 hours, the day shift would arrive. But right now, at midnight, it belonged to the cleaners. Jim stood in the main entrance, breathed in that smell, closed his eyes. "Can I help you?" A voice, female, tired. Jim opened his eyes. A woman in her early 20s, Maria Santos, 23 years old, night supervisor, clipboard in hand, dark circles under her eyes that said she worked 2 jobs. "I'm here about the janitor position," Jim said quietly. Maria looked confused. "We're not hiring, and applications are online now." "I know, but I used to work here. Long time ago. Thought maybe I could just look around." Maria's face softened slightly. "How long ago?" 1978. Her eyes widened. "That's 46 years. You must have been 15, Jim said. "I was 15. But to understand what happened next, you have to go back. You have to go back past the $20 million paychecks, past Ace Ventura and The Mask, past the Golden Globes and the red carpets. You have to go back to 1978, to a VW van, to a family that had nothing except each other. January 1978. Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. Percy Carrey, Jim's father, musician turned accountant, lost his job. The family lost everything 3 weeks later. Their apartment, their car, everything. They lived in a 1971 Volkswagen van, parked outside various locations around Toronto. Percy, his wife Kathleen, their 4 children. Jim was 16 but looked younger, skinny, face that could already transform into anything, eyes that had seen too much too fast. Kathleen Carrey suffered from chronic pain. Some days she couldn't move. Prescription pills helped, sometimes too much. "How are we going to eat?" Jim's sister asked one night in the van. Percy didn't answer. He just stared out the window. Jim made the decision that night. "I'll get a job." "You're 16, son. You should be in school." "School doesn't feed us." 2 days later, Jim walked into Titan Wheels. Applied for night janitorial work. Lied about his age. Said he was 18. They hired him. $3.15 per hour. 8-hour shifts. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. But it wasn't just Jim. Percy got hired too. Then Jim's brother. Then his sister. The entire Carrey family became the night cleaning crew. Toilets, factory floors, oil spills, rubber dust. For 8 months, that was their life. Jim would finish his shift at 7 a.m., go to school, sleep in class. Teachers noticed, but said nothing. "Why are you always so tired, Jim?" one teacher asked. Jim made a funny face. Made her laugh. Changed the subject. The mask. Even then. Hide the pain. Make them laugh. Survive. By September 1978, Jim dropped out of high school. The family needed money more than he needed a diploma. At night, between cleaning, Jim would practice. Facial expressions, voices, characters. His co-workers thought he was weird, except one person. Thomas Chen, 58 years old, head janitor, Chinese immigrant, worked at Titan for 23 years. He watched Jim practice comedy routines while mopping. "You funny kid," Thomas said one night. Why you clean toilet? You should be on TV. TV doesn't pay bills, Thomas. But you have gift, real gift. Don't waste it here. Thomas became like a second father to Jim, taught him how to clean faster, how to save energy, how to survive night shifts without breaking. You remember this place, Thomas told Jim on his last night in November 1978. You remember where you come from. Success make people forget. But you different. You remember. Jim never forgot. February 13th, 2024. Back to the present. Maria Santos led Jim through the factory. The layout had changed, new machines, new paint, but the bones were the same. Who's the current head janitor? Jim asked. Mr. Chen, but he's… Wait, did you say 1978? Jim stopped walking. Thomas Chen? Yeah, he's 104 years old. Still comes in twice a week, just to check on us, he says. He's here tonight, actually, in the break room. Jim's face transformed. The stillness broke. He's still alive? Barely uses a cane, sharp as ever. You knew him? He saved my life. Maria didn't understand, but she led Jim to the break room anyway. The break room, 20 feet by 30 feet. Same vending machines from the 1970s, somehow still working. Same long table, different chairs. Thomas Chen sat alone, drinking tea from a thermos, reading a Chinese newspaper. His face was weathered, ancient, but his eyes were clear. Jim stood in the doorway, removed his hat. Thomas looked up, squinted, stared. 15 seconds of silence. Then Thomas's face broke into the biggest smile Jim had ever seen. Funny kid, Thomas whispered. Jim crossed the room in 3 steps, knelt beside Thomas's chair. They hugged, 2 men, 46 years apart, both crying. The night shift workers started gathering. Confused, who was this guy making the old man cry? You came back, Thomas said, his voice shaking. I told you. Remember where you from? I never forgot, Thomas. Not one day. You on TV now, big movie star. I see you. Make me so proud. You're the reason I made it, Thomas. You told me not to waste my gift. Thomas shook his head. No, you work hard. You survive. That all you. Maria Santos pulled out her phone, started recording. This felt important. Jim turned to the gathering workers, 11 people, ages 19 to 54, all night shift janitors, all working multiple jobs, all fighting to survive. How many of you are doing this to pay for school? Jim asked. 5 hands went up. How many have families depending on this paycheck? 7 hands. How many of you are one emergency away from losing everything? All 11 hands. Jim nodded slowly. In 1978, I stood exactly where you're standing. My whole family did. We cleaned these floors because we lived in a van and had nowhere else to go. I was 15. I should have been in school. Instead, I was scrubbing toilets at 3 a.m. because that's what survival looks like. The room was dead silent. I got lucky. I got out. I became successful, made money, made movies. But I never forgot this place. I never forgot what Thomas taught me. Remember where you come from. Jim reached into his backpack, pulled out 11 envelopes, white, sealed. Each one had a name written on it. The workers looked at each other, confused. Maria Santos, Jim said, reading from his phone. Names he'd gotten from the factory's HR department 6 months ago through a private investigator. 2 jobs, supporting your mother's medical bills. Taking online classes. Maria's hands started shaking. Jim handed her an envelope. Open it later. He went through all 11 names, all 11 stories, all 11 struggles. Every single person received an envelope. What is this? Asked David Park, 19 years old, newest hire. Just open it when you get home, Jim said quietly. Then Jim did something nobody expected. He walked to the supply closet, grabbed a mop, filled a bucket. What are you doing? Maria asked. My shift, Jim said. I'm working my shift. For the next 4 hours, Jim Carrey cleaned Titan Wheels factory. He mopped floors, scrubbed toilets, emptied trash, the exact same work he'd done 46 years ago. The workers watched in disbelief. Then, one by one, they joined him. At 3:47 a.m., they took a break, sat in the break room, ate vending machine snacks. Why did you really come back? David asked. Jim looked at Thomas. The old man smiled. "Because I made a promise," Jim said. "When I left here in 1978, I promised myself that if I ever made it, I'd come back. I'd help the people doing what I did. I'd remember." "The envelopes?" Maria asked. "Open them at home." At 6:55 a.m., the night shift ended. Jim hugged each worker, hugged Thomas the longest. "You good man, funny kid, always good man. Because of you, Thomas." Jim left the way he came, hoodie up, hat low, disappeared into the February morning. But here's where it gets even more incredible. Maria Santos got home at 7:30 a.m., opened her envelope. Inside was a check, $50,000, and a note. "For your mother's medical bills and your education, you deserve it. Keep going. J.C." She collapsed on her kitchen floor, sobbing. Her phone rang. It was David Park, also crying. "Did you get $50,000, Maria whispered. "Me too, all of us. He gave all of us $50,000. 11 workers, 11 checks, $550,000 total, but that wasn't all." The factory's owner received a call that morning. From Jim Carrey's foundation, Better You Foundation. Jim had purchased full scholarship funds for every night shift worker, any school, any program, fully paid, plus family medical coverage for 1 year, for everyone, plus a $5,000 yearly bonus for every night janitor at Titan Wheels. Forever. Jim set up an endowment. "Why?" the owner asked Jim's representative. "Because 30 years ago, that job saved his family's life. Now he's returning the favor." Maria posted the video she'd recorded. Jim hugging Thomas. Jim talking about the van. Jim mopping floors at 3 a.m. It went viral in 8 hours. 15 million views by the end of the week. News outlets everywhere picked it up. Jim Carrey returns to factory job that saved his family. But Jim didn't do interviews, didn't appear on talk shows, didn't promote it. He'd done what he came to do. 3 weeks later, Thomas Chen passed away. Peacefully. In his sleep. At the funeral, Jim gave the eulogy. "Thomas told me to remember where I came from. He told me success makes people forget, but not me. Because of him, I never forgot the van, the hunger, the night shifts, the survival. And because I remembered, I could help others survive too." The 11 workers were at the funeral. All of them. "Thomas changed all of us," Maria said. "Through Jim, through remembering." Today, all 11 workers have completed or are completing their education, medical bills paid, families stable. David Park graduated last year, engineering degree, now works designing factory safety systems. "I design workplaces so people like us don't have to suffer like we did," he says. Maria Santos finished her nursing degree, works at the hospital where her mother receives treatment. "Jim showed me that escaping poverty isn't forgetting where you came from, it's remembering and helping others escape too." In Titan Wheels factory, there's now a plaque, installed by the workers. It says, "Thomas Chen, head janitor 1955 to 2024. He taught us to remember. And because he did, we survived." Below it, a photo. Jim Carrey at age 15, mop in hand, standing next to Thomas. They both look tired, but they're smiling, and that is the story of how remembering saved 17 families. Before you go, drop a comment right now and tell us where you are watching from. Toronto? Los Angeles? London? Manila? We read every single one, and we love knowing where our community is coming from all around the world. And if this story moved you even a little, if it made you feel something real, please hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this story reach someone out there who really needs to hear it today. Because somewhere right now, someone is working a night shift just to survive. Someone is choosing between rent and food. Someone is one emergency away from losing everything, and they need to know that remembering where you came from isn't weakness, it's strength, it's survival. It's how we help each other escape. And if you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that believes success without remembering is just emptiness wearing expensive clothes. Share this video with one person today. Just one. Because that is exactly how remembering travels. One person, one story, one promise at a time. Now click on the video appearing on your screen right now because we're going to show you what happened when Jim Carrey found out his childhood art teacher was homeless. We will see you there.